in the last video I showed you how to create a rubric. Now it's time to figure out how to add it to an assignment or a discussion question. You can also add it to a quiz, and then use it in SpeedGrader. So away we go. I have this discussion question in my demonstration model. Your discussion question could be your attendance check-in, it could be a social emotional learning check-in, it could be an exit ticket warm-up, whatever you have, whatever it is. But you are going, here's my question, here's what I'm looking for, here's a response frame, but I want to make sure that I have a way to let the kids know what's expected, and then also a way to grade it easily in SpeedGrader. So right here next to the edit button, there are these three little snowman buttons on top of each other, and I'm going to go to add rubric, and I'm going to add the rubric that we created earlier. But one thing I forgot to tell you, when you're creating your rubric for the first time, always, always, always check this button that says use this rubric for assignment grading, because if you don't, it won't automatically calculate and put it in the grade book. But if you forget, I'll show you how to fix it, because I forgot last time. But if I wanted to create a new rubric, I could do it from right here, but I don't have to create a new one if I've already used one somewhere else. So I'm going to do find a rubric, and I'm going to choose this basic OER rubric. But you'll notice, like, all the rubrics I've ever created, including from years past, are right here for me. So I can just go into that class and use it from there. So I'm going to choose that basic OER, and over here you can see it. I'm going to scroll down to where it says use this rubric. Now, before, this is where you need to fix it if you didn't already fix it. Before I start grading, I'm going to use my little pencil up here, and I'm actually going to go click that button, use this rubric for assignment grading, down here in the bottom, and click update. That should make it so that it calculates automatically when you go to SpeedGrader, which is what I'm going to do now. And you'll notice over here there's a button now that says View Rubric, because I've added it to this discussion question. If I click on it, you might say, well, that doesn't look very helpful. But if I drag this over, and now it's not cooperating, of course, I'm on camera. There we go. Sorry, it was I can click on it. But you can drag that over and expand your rubric and still see your student's answer. So my student responded with, you should because it's easier. And if you're in my class, you know that this student missed a couple of steps. And so they're probably not going to come out with a great grade, but instead of guessing at what I think the grade should be, I have set some standards forth for the student and for me when I grade. So I take some of that subjectivity out and lend a little objectivity to it. So the first criteria is student submission. Yes, they did submit it. It's not, I wouldn't say it's excellent. So I'm going to click on this button right here. You'll notice it fills in the points. They answered the question using evidence or support. They tried. It's easier is some support, so I'm going to give them adequate. They answered the question in a complete sentence. You should because it's easier. Technically, yes, but it's still not great. Use part of the question in the response. They did not, and that's why if you don't know the question, you don't know what they're talking about. And then did they use capitalization and end punctuation? No capital letter at the beginning. They did put a period at the end, so I'm going to split that point halfway. And you'll notice that it's 45 out of 100. If I click save, I can also go in and type some comments, whatever I want to say to them. I can also record all that good stuff. But I'm going to click save, and you'll notice now their grade is right here. And if I go into the grade book, now their grade is right there. So if you're using a rubric, it really is a click, click, done. And depending on the size of your rubric, it could go even faster than you kind of hemming and hawing. So that was for a discussion question. This is for an assignment. I gave an assignment. Here's the instructions for my assignment, all the things that I'm expecting them to have, plus the question, plus the sentence response frame. this is where it gets a little confusing, and I don't know why Canvas did it this way, but they did. If you click on the snowman buttons, it's not there anymore. But if you scroll down a little bit, it's right here. So you're not going to go into edit, you're not going to go into the snowman buttons, you're actually just going to go right down here and click plus rubric. And again, I can make a rubric. Don't forget to use the rubric for assignment grading. But I'm going to use the same open-ended response rubric just to show you how easy it is. So I'm going to go get that rubric again. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to scroll down to use this rubric. And now, like, when the kids open their assignment, they'll see this rubric and they'll see like how many points for each thing. Again, if you forgot to click that use this rubric for assignment grading, don't forget to click it. Don't forget to update rubric. That will save it. And then you can go into SpeedGrader, and this response says you should not use rubrics because Miss Naz doesn't know what she's talking about. Well, as Miss Naz, I could get a little offended, and I could like be a little upset and maybe let my emotions get in the way, but I'm going to keep it to the rubric. So did they submit? Yes. Was it excellent or adequate or inadequate? I'm going to say like they answered the question is adequately, but did they use it using text, evidence, or support? No, there's no support for that. Did they answer the question in a complete sentence? Actually, they did. And as the writing teacher, that's one of my qualifications. I can't justify like, well, I didn't agree with what they said in the sentence. They gave me a complete sentence. Did they use part of the question in the response? They did. You should not use rubrics because they gave it back to me. So I got to give them an excellent on that. And then conventions, did they capitalize? Yep. Yep. Did they use an end punctuation? Yep. So even though this person didn't really do the evidence and like they didn't support their evidence, they did identify their opinion. They did try to support it, and they're good at the writing skills. We just need to clarify a little bit more on responding. So I'm going to hit. You'll notice they've got a 55 out of 100. I can leave a comment if I choose, and then I can also save it. And you'll notice it puts the grade right there, which means the grade is right here in the gradebook. So rubrics, they're a little bit of work on the front end, but if you create a rubric that will fit several different assignments, you can reuse them. You can duplicate the rubric and then just change pieces of the criteria. It's a good idea to build that rubric before you make the assignment and build it off of the exemplar. That way you lend a little bit of objectivity into a very subjective form of grading, which is grading writing. So if there's any questions, please make sure to reach out and let someone know, and I hope you find the time to build a rubric and incorporate some writing.